Do you know? At least 50 million people are injured or disabled by road traffic crashes internationally every year. Half of those injured or killed in crashes are vulnerable road users such as pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists. Saturday is the most common day to have an accident. The majority of car accidents occur within 5 kilometers of the driver's home. The most deadly type of accidents are vehicle rollovers. Using a mobile phone while driving increases your chance of crashing by 400%. People between 16 and 20 face the highest chance of being injured or killed in an accident. Wearing a seatbelt reduces the risk of death in an accident by 61%. At least 20% of crashes are caused by fatigued drivers falling asleep at the wheel. Without realizing, our everyday lives requires pauses and motion in order to move something or to make it stay. Each year, 1.35 million people around the world are killed on roadways. Almost 3,700 people lose their lives every day in crashes involving vehicles on the road. Therefore, it is important to equip safety features for our vehicles to ensure the safety of the passengers. Most of the safety features are related to Newton's 3 laws of motion such as seatbelts, crumple zones, and airbags. The first law is related to inertia. When an object is at rest, it will remain at rest, and when in motion, it will continue in a constant speed and direction. Thus, inertia occurs when both of the objects are acted on by an unbalanced force.
Second Newton law. Newton's second law of motion pertains to the behavior of objects for which all existing forces are not balanced. The second law states that the acceleration of an object is dependent upon two variables, the net force acting upon the object and the mass of the object. The acceleration of an object depends directly upon the net force acting upon the object and inversely upon the mass of the object. As the force acting upon an object is increased, the acceleration of the object is increased. As the mass of an object is increased, then the acceleration of the object is decreased. So, for the conclusion, we can make the formula for this second law is F equal to ma.
The last Newton's law of motion is the action and reaction force. It is stated that for every action of force, there is a reaction force with equal strength but in opposite directions.
Okay, so today I'm gonna talk about the seat belts and how it works. A seat belt is a vehicle safety device designed to secure the driver and the passenger of a vehicle against harmful movement that may result during a collision or a sudden stop. A seat belt are equipped with spring-loaded reels called retractor. It is equipped with inertial locking mechanism that stop the belt from extending of the reel during severe deceleration. A seat belt is equipped with locking retractor because it provides seat occupants the convenience of some free movement of a upper torso within the compartment of the car, while providing a method of limiting this movement in the event of a crash or collision. We use seatbelt because a seatbelt can reduce the likelihood of death by keeping occupants being positioned. It also prevents occupants from being ejected from the vehicle in a crash or a vehicle, or if the vehicle rolls over. This is because, according to Newton's first and second law, it is proven that when in motion, the driver and the passenger are moving at the same speed as the car, if the driver suddenly stops the car, they will continue to move at the same speed as the car before it stops. When a seatbelt is used, it applies an opposing force to the driver and the passengers to prevent them from falling out or making contact with interior of the car.
Aside from that, a windscreen, or as we call it, a windshield, is also one of the safety components for the car. For the definition, windscreen is a safety glass that protects drivers and passengers in the car from any crashes or something that given difficulty to the driver, such as stones and sand. For the development of windscreen manufacturing, we can see that windscreens were invented for the first time in 1903 when a French chemist, Edouard Benedictus, who was the first man to discover laminated glass. The effect from using laminated glass is it does not break easily, and we could still have a clear vision through the glass. Around 1919 to 1937, Henry Ford was the first car manufacturer to use laminated glass, adding it into all his vehicles. In 1937, it was compulsory to have laminated glass for all vehicles. And right now, present day, we can see that windscreen new come with added tints to reduce the amount of UV light and heat. For the explanation of safety features, we can say that the windscreen could be applied in ensuring the car safety and could be described based on the Newton's law of motion. It could be seen during an event of a crash. The windshield would have its own inertia, which is Newton's first law of motion. Without lamination, the glass would shatter just as a window would. The glass layers apply force to the plastic, which then applies an equal amount of force on them. This force holds together the shards, making them stick with the plastic. By keeping them from flying off, the momentum of the glass shards is reduced to minimum amounts, keeping the passenger safe from the shard.
Next is the headrest. Headrest helps to prevent our head from yanking backwards in rear-end collision. In a constant motion, the headrest pushes our head forward and down to keep them close to our spine. It is truly important to make adjustments with your headrest based on our preferred seat angle before every car ride. This is because being involved in a car accident may result in whiplash. Whiplash is a condition when the ligaments, muscles, or tendons at the neck are either teared, sprained, or strained. This soft tissue damage would cause pain, tenderness, and stiffness at the neck and shoulders. Thus, it also reduces our movement because of the pressure and stress on the neck, shoulders, head, and spine. Let us take a look at an example of the situation during a car accident. So Myvi is driving in a constant velocity in a straight line. Then suddenly comes an Innova that abruptly hits the Myvi from the back, which gives a sudden force to the Myvi to accelerate due to the sudden impact. Then, the body of the passengers would try to remain in its position. Their heads would yank forward and then backwards because of the acceleration, which then causes the head to hit the headrest with a force. The acceleration of the head comes from the forces transmitted from your body that goes to your neck. The force acting on the headrest is equal to the force produced by the headrest itself. This action and reaction process reduces the force required at your neck, and the damage is considerably lessened due to the headrest being at the level of the center mass of your head and not located at the center of the neck. The passengers may experience a mild pain in the neck, but since the headrest is also padded, the time of collision between the head and the padded headrest lengthens. Thus, impulsive force is also reduced and at the same time minimizes the pain faced by the victims.
As for the crumple zone is a structural safety feature. It is used to increase the times over during an impact, which also change in velocity and consequently momentum. This can be achieved by control deformation and also refer to change in size or the shape of an object. Using the concept of Newton's first and second law, crumple zone designed to increase the times over which the total force from the change of momentum is applied to an occupant is inversely related to the time over which it is applied. In the event of sudden deceleration of a rigid frame vehicle due to an impact, unrestrained vehicle content will continue forward at their previous speed due to inertia, and will impact the interior of the car. Will force equivalent to many times of their normal weight due to gravity. The purpose of crumple zone is to slow down the collision, to increase the time over which the occupants decelerate, so as to decrease the peak force impact on the occupant over a given time. Crumple zone work by managing the crash energy and increasing the times over which the deceleration of the occupant of the vehicle occur, while also preventing intrusion into or deformation of the passenger cabin. This can be achieved by controlled weakening and of sacrificial outer part of the car by folding in and on itself, much like an accordion, while strengthening and increasing the rigidity of the inner part of the car, making the passenger cabin into a safety shell by using reinforcing beams and bigger strength and higher strength steel.
For the conclusion, these are only for a few safety features that we should find on our vehicles. These are plenty more, such as the anti-lock braking system ABS, overspeed warning system, and also cargo barriers. Other than that, our vehicles should also have annual maintenance to ensure that they are functioning well, especially during emergency. But we should not fully depend on these safety components, as we should also be careful when being on the road. We must always follow the traffic light rules and make sure the seatbelts are not just for presentation, but also used for all passengers. Remember, safety comes first.